Minister of Commerce and Industry.
Okay, please have your seat. The clerk will read the communication that brought forth the appearance of the minister. Observation, Honorable Thomas.
Mr. Speaker, co-presiding fellow colleagues, there's visibly saying that the minister of witness is here with a delegate of 3 persons. But
Information, Honorable Colleague.
I think it would be unjust to disciplinary if the minister was introducing his staff or team.
Welcome to the House of Representatives. Welcome to school. Yeah, today on the second day of the special sitting, and the Minister of Commerce is having an appearance here. And some of the lawmakers are having issues that why he did not introduce all of his colleagues who are accompanying him, and some are having other views that he had introduced. And another colleague, another lawmaker said they are making this place into a market ground, for which some of them are getting agitated.
Hey, you know, in this special session, it was so adjourned.
So yes, indeed, if you are following, we are here today, day 2 of the second sitting, and some representatives were disrupting the session when the speaker said this is not a market ground, and some have taken offense to that. Even Representative Cole is saying that the statement by the speaker that this is not a market ground is uncalled for.
To behave in a manner that is worthy of being called honorable. The minister came, and as he was introducing himself, even Honorable Benedict came and protested at the noise that was in the chambers. I could not describe it any better than I did. I do not regret the terminology I used, and I advise that if we want to do business, we do it. The minister came in with his delegation from work on a valid notice. We can't even give him the due courtesy to listen to him. People are talking across the floor. What do you call that? I only see that at rally time. So, anyone who's offended, we apologize. We apologize if you feel offended. But we do not take back our description. Please read the communication. Please read the communication that precipitated the presence here of the Minister of Commerce. Information denied.
March 19, 2024. Honorable Nancy Kofa, Speaker of the 55th Legislature, Cabinet Building in Louisville, Liberia. Reference: Enforcement of the Small Business Empowerment Act. Dear Honorable Kofa, greetings from the people of District 7 Lima County. On December 22, 2024, the third section of the 53rd Legislature of the Republic of Liberia passed into law House Bill number 18 entitled, quote-unquote, an act to amend Chapter 29 of the Ministry of Commerce and Industry of the Executive Law, Title 12, Liberian Code of Laws revised, to provide for the establishment of the Department of Small Arms Administration. The preamble of the above-mentioned act, also referred to as the quote-unquote Small Business Empowerment Act, says, whereas it is in the best interest of Liberia to encourage and promote the establishment, growth, and expansion of micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises, and recognizing that the economy of Liberia depends heavily on the sources of micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises, the government of Liberia has instituted a policy to assist, promote, and foster the interests of those enterprises by ensuring that they receive their fair share of procurement contracts for the provision of goods and services to the government, and that such enterprises have adequate access to capital at competitive rates of interest and with reasonable terms and conditions that will enable these businesses to expand and grow. The Act, amongst other things, prescribes the following. Section 2.1a. There is hereby established a Department of Small Business Administration. Section 2.2a. The department shall be responsible for control loan facilitation of MSMEs with particular focus on emphasis on Liberian-owned MSMEs. Section 2.2d. The department shall coordinate programs for small business development and entrepreneurship with funding for such purposes. Section 3.1. The department shall have the power to recommend and facilitate the provision of loans to Liberian-owned MSMEs through designated financial institutions. Section 4.1a. In furtherance of the objectives of this Act, all Liberian-owned MSMEs shall be provided with the greatest practical opportunity to participate in the performance of the procurement contracts. Section 4.1b. Consistent with subsection A above, it shall be mandatory that prime contractors honor any procurement contract established procedures that guarantee that Liberian-owned MSMEs are provided the ability, whether through subcontracts or otherwise, to participate to the greatest extent in a contract to which a prime contractor is a party, unquote. Section 4.1c, quote, in furtherance of the amended section of this section, the department, in collaboration with the Public Procurement and Concession Commission, shall ensure that in respect of each fiscal year of the government, at least 25% of all public procurement contracts entered into by all government institutions, including state-owned enterprises, shall be allocated and provided to Liberian-owned MSMEs, of which at least 5% shall be allocated and provided to women-owned MSMEs and MPs. For greater certainty, the foregoing percentages relate to the aggregate monetary value of all procurement contracts during the life of each contract, unquote. Section 4.1d, quote, to facilitate the achievement of the percentage set forth in subsection C, each such agency sets aside and allocates at least 25% of all procurement contracts exclusively for Liberian-owned MSMEs. Each government agency on a quarterly basis shall provide to the department such reports, study material, data, and statistical information to confirm requirements of this section have been and will continue to be duly certified, unquote. Fellow colleagues, I have attached the full act which requires the Small Business Administration and the Ministry of Commerce and Industry along with the PPCC and all those responsible for public procurement to consolidate a performance report on a semi-annual basis to be shared with the President and the Cabinet. Mr. Speaker, as representatives of the people, we have a crucial obligation to empower our citizens without incurring additional budget costs. By adjusting our public procurement practices, we can ensure a fair distribution of contracts to MSMEs, thereby uplifting our people and their communities. Therefore, I propose the following actions. 1. SBE's enforcement is budget hearing. In budget hearing, we shall require all spending and procuring entities to submit their SBA procurement plans during the budget hearing process. This setup will strengthen our commitment to supporting MSMEs. 2. Special hearing on SBEs. On SBEA implementation. The Committees on Commerce and Industry and Public Finance should conduct a dedicated hearing with the leadership of the Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Ministry of Finance and Development Planning, and the PPCC in 2 weeks in order to get a clear understanding of how these entities intend to implement the SBA law effectively. 3. Semi-annual reporting. As required by the SBA Act, this body shall mandate a semi-annual report on the execution, including updates on its implementation across various counties. 4. Transparency and awareness. We must publish the impact of the SBA Act, ensuring that the Liberian people are informed about the government's commitment to empowering Liberian-owned businesses. This can be done in official annual messages and reports. 5. Submission of subsequent annual implementation reports. We must request and ensure that the SBA submits all annual implementation reports since 2016, if any. These reports will enable us to understand the impact of the law and inform us to the need to make any adjustments as necessary. Honorable Speaker, this legislation holds immense potential to create opportunities within our constituencies. Let us also lead by example by allocating 25% of public procurement within this House to Liberian-owned small businesses. By rethinking our approach to public procurement, we can collectively drive economic empowerment for our citizens. Together, we can make this powerful legislation work to improve the lives of our people. Sincerely, Musa Hansan Belite, Representative Electoral District 7, Lima County. The invite. April 1, 2024.
The Chief Clerk, Major Science, reading the communication from Representative Musa Belite, for which the Commerce Minister is here to address critical national issues as it relates to small businesses.
To kindly request your appearance before it on Thursday, April 4, 2024 at 11 a.m. precisely. Honorable Minister, your appearance will assist the plenary of the House to reassess the crucial obligation it has to empower our citizens in respect to the act that created small business empowerment as espoused by Honorable Musa Hansan Belite, Representative Electoral District 7 in a communication addressed to the plenary of the House. Please find attached. Thank you, Honorable Minister, for urgent attention in this regard. Sincerely, Mildred Nseo, Chief Clerk. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Deputy Speaker, Honorable ladies and gentlemen, that was a reading of the communication from Honorable Belite and the invite as per your mandate for which our guests are here today before us.
With the reading of the communication, Mr. Minister, I will give the proponent 1 minute before you come, Honorable Belite.
Representative Ability, who have read the communication.
Our Speaker,
Is on the floor.
our Deputy Speaker, distinguished colleagues, today I stand before you to say we have an opportunity to change the life of our people. We are in the process of approving a budget of almost $700 million, and those procurement will require almost around 200 to 300 million. It is unfortunate to note that about 90% of the transaction in our budgetary system before this time has been done by our foreigners. Hopefully, with the passage of the law and the supervision of this honorable house, we can change that and change the fortune of our people, so that it's not everybody that is running after government jobs. There are Liberians out there that are struggling to make ends meet. Right now, we are going to buy vehicles, all of us. We have money in the budget, the entire government. Liberians should be used, even if they don't have vehicle or entities. They should be used as middlemen to benefit from their own country. Our own money. This is not World Bank money. This is not IMF money. This is Liberian money. It is Liberia that must enjoy it first, and I call on every one of us to ensure, not just on the minister, the PPCC should not be allowed to sign any contract in this country that does not include the enforcement of this act. And it is only us, through our relevant committee, especially the Committee on Commerce and then Contracts and Monopolies, to ensure constant supervision of the executive so that our people can be relieved of the kind of suffering and being spectators in our own economy. There is already a law on the book to stop us from being spectators. Our predecessors, our people have struggled. Honorable Speaker, today in Liberia, there is an executive order in place. This executive order passed by the president before is being maintained, unfortunately and disgracefully, by this government. Because Liberians are being forced to sell rubber at a price that is not the international price. And company in my county, Nimba County, district
The time of German is expired.
Yeah,
We're going into a different subject.
Honorable Speaker, they allow me in closing, Honorable Speaker, I've been distracted by distractors. Honorable Speaker, in closing, as I speak to you, in our own country, we are not even allowed to do business. This budget, under your leadership, and the laws that will be used to pass this budget must ensure that the Minister of Commerce is mandated to report to this body quarterly on the enforcement of this act. Otherwise, our people will continue to languish in degradation, disrespect, while foreigners buy everything that we need to buy with our own money, not what them money, not IMF. Thank you.
Mr. Minister, Honorable Koloba. Mr. Minister, would you approach the podium and address yourself to the honorable members concerned, as father from leadership to the plenary, that Liberians cannot be spectators in their own economy is not just a slogan, but it's an actual, in fact. So please address yourself to the concerns. The members will remain in their seats. Photographers and journalists can move about quietly.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, members of the Honorable Deputy Speaker, members of the legislature. It's indeed an honor to be invited here, particularly for such a critical part of my responsibilities. Your interest in championing this vital issue is vital and critical to my performance and how we turn our economy around in a more sustainable and impactful way. I was indeed elated to receive your invitation and Honorable Hassan Musa Belute's concerns as it preempted an intended communication to this honorable body that we were developing as soon as the budgetary process began. The issues transcends politics, and I look forward to a productive engagement. All of our intentions and mandate begin with capacity. Capacity of the Liberian private sector to deliver and supply goods and services, and the capacity of the government to enforce. Today, the Ministry of Commerce and Industry is structured around our four cardinal departments: Administration, Commerce and Trade, Industry, Small Business Administration. Each department is tasked with distinct yet interrelated responsibilities that collectively aim to foster a conducive business environment, to promote trade and facilitate industrial development, and particularly to support the expansion of our small and medium enterprises. The significance of the Ministry of Commerce and Industry in Liberia's economic framework cannot be overstated. It is at the forefront of efforts to diversify our economy, reduce dependency on imports, and increase export capacity, thereby laying the groundwork for sustainable development and wealth creation in a very proactive and decentralized manner. The Ministry's initiatives and programs are aligned with the broader objectives of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, the African Union's Agenda 2063, and the new administration's Arrest Agenda, reflecting Liberia's commitment to inclusive growth and socio-economic development. At the core of our broad agenda rests our obligation and mandate to empower Liberians to lead our growth and enjoy prosperity with legacy impact that is for generations. Beyond implementing programs targeting Liberian enterprises, which I will particularly speak on, I reassure you that we're implementing rigorous general actions to develop the business environment with particular emphasis on Liberian enterprises. Just to name a few, we will shortly be launching a free informal sector business registration initiative aimed at formalizing petty traders and small businesses, thereby integrating them into the formal economy, opening up access to financing and markets. Through this process, we'll formalize them, give them team numbers, provide basic business development training, and prepare them to harness financing opportunities. One of the standout areas that we will contribute significantly to is to reviving the growth of small and medium enterprises and to be able to harness opportunities provided by the procurement law. 2, we're building capacity and training. The Ministry of Commerce has already initiated efforts to conduct numerous training programs and workshops targeting small and medium enterprises, Liberian enterprises. These initiatives will cover a wide range of topics, including financial literacy, green business development, marketing, digital transformation, digital economy, business planning, aiming at boosting competitiveness and sustainable small Liberian enterprises. We fully intend to champion the procurement law by engaging the PPCC as well as the private sector. We have begun doing so in all our engagements. This must not only be a policy implementation agenda, but a concerted effort bordering the obligations from all of us. Recently, one of our agendas is to support industrialization in this process. We recently visited and toured the industrial park. It was saddening to see that majority of the businesses at the industrial park were foreign owned. Out of there, we came back with a couple of initiatives, and we approached them with 3 main agenda. 1, ensuring that they improve the quality of the products that they are producing, and ensuring that the prices we sell them on the local market are competitive and reasonable for our people. 2, we have engaged all of them, and it's part of all our engagements with the larger private sector to ensure that they establish horizontal structures in their business models to ensure that Liberian enterprises are part of their model, be it with supplying their needs, their inputs for their production, or also distributing the products. And many of them have concerted to this agenda. In fact, for example, Simeco has agreed to establish that horizontal structure immediately, beginning of training Liberians in block making, in pavement blocks making, and empowering our youths around enclaves of business establishments, for example, setting up distribution network where 10 youths or disadvantaged youth can begin supplying cement in various communities. We have other signed that MOU. 13 brothers have agreed in this negotiation to even establish a rehabilitation center for disadvantaged youth and begin training them in welding and other metal crafts and empowering them to start supplying the steel products around that whole production. Now, we noticed at the industrial park, for example, as I stated, there were only very few Liberian businesses there. I think only one or two. All were foreign owned. So we have begun the process of mapping out the industrial park and identifying plots of land where we are seeking financing both from commercial banks and from investors, and we'll come back to you to look at our budget, to establish processing facilities where we can, instead of just giving out plots of lands, we'll begin allocating those small facilities depending on the range of investments of desires from our Liberian enterprises to begin producing at the industrial park. We've already began discussion with NEC to establish a sub-center there to provide electricity at subsidized cost for Liberian enterprises and all of those functioning in the industrial park. We have, and for example, we noticed that there is an increase in the price of cocoa on the global market. So one of those facilities we're establishing there will be a processing plant where cocoa farmers can aggregate the cocoa, add value to the products, for example, cocoa powder or chocolate. When we took over, we are in the process of assessing the capacity of what we inherited at the Ministry of Commerce, both structurally and in terms of the programs that we have to stimulate the private sector and the facilities are minded. We have three major programs that we can harness as low-hanging fruits. We have a LIFT project with the World Bank with a budget of about $40 million that was signed in 2021. But this project supports trade-related agencies across the country. For example, there's a program to support initiated at NIC. There's a program to support the central bank in digitizing the monetary environment. There are programs to support the agriculture sector. But in this project, there's about $7 million for direct linking to SMEs. We've already began meeting the central bank, the commercial banks, to see how we can target those loans for Liberians in critical sectors. We want to guide the process. We were supposed to have a meeting today on it, but this superseded. We also have a livelihood project with UNDP, which is about $11 million. I'm sorry, about $7.8 million, and that is targeting women and youth in the agriculture value chain sector. And we're working on those modalities to start implementing it. We also have, through the African Development Bank, a $16 million program for youth, for the establishment of a youth enterprise bank and facility to support youth in our various areas. And I mention these to state that they are all in support of this agenda to ensure that Liberians can have the capacity to produce and supply what we need. The responsibility, again, with your indulgence, starts here with the budget and ensuring that we, the PPCC and the Ministry of Commerce, play our role in enforcing this. Honorable Speaker, Honorable Deputy Speaker, and Honorable members of this body, I will conclude by stating we remain committed to ensuring that the PPCC laws are implemented, and that the Ministry of Commerce will do its part in enforcing it, beginning with empowering our enterprises, our Liberian enterprises, to take charge of the economy. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Before I open up to the floor, I just have one question for you, Mr. Minister. Have you discontinued the use of IPDs? If not, what are the purpose?
So I believe what was enforced until it expired recently was the use of what called import notification forms, and this was done during the last administration. But that has expired. So we're reintroducing the use of IPDs and EPDs. We're developing the processes for it. Again, we're in the process of internal review. I don't want to get into some of the issues that we have inherited or the structure of the Ministry of Commerce, but we want to build our capacity to be able to implement it properly. We're also...
But don't you think it's unfair for you to decide who can import what and in what quantity?
Well, the intention is not just to decide who can import what or what quantity, is to make sure that we have a stable economy. There are complexities. You know, when I presented myself to this body in the Senate before, I was scared that I want to formulate a mixed economy or an open market economy. And with that, is opening the market to anyone who's doing anything. But if you look at the complexity of, for example, rice importation, understanding in depth as I'm getting to know, it is critical that we manage the process. Manage the process in such a way that opens it up for Liberian businesses. Let me just give you an example. We have just about 5 major importers of rice. I think there's a 6th one coming on. There has been war between all of them as who gets what and who enters. One of those who just entered, the 6th one, from my understanding, it took about 5 years process to get the Ministry of Commerce to allow him to import rice. Now, out of the 6 that are there, there's only one that's Liberian related, and that's Utah. In this new agenda that we're trying to manage the process, we're allocating minimum from the onset 20% that we have already started granting Liberian businesses. But we have to be careful because granting IPDs or right to bring certain product and that institution or business does not have the capacity, it creates a border. So we have to manage it. We have an issue of price management. Presently, there's a global increase in the price of rice, predicated by 24% increase duty imposed by India. If we leave it open, Mr. Speaker, we will have the price of rice up within no time. One of the first requests that I received the first week I became minister was a resubmission of letters from the rice importers to take rice price up to $20. That request was made in 2003 and 2023 were reintroduced. Have we not implemented that or some measure of control, it would have happened. And successfully, instead of increasing, we got them to reduce it by 25 cents.
Okay, but I mean, you told my rice, I understand the issue of rice. Pig feet,
Mr. Speaker,
chicken fingers.
Mr. Speaker,
Doesn't this give you some kind of incredible power to decide who's going to bring these things in and who doesn't? And I'm hesitant for you to have such a power with very limited oversight. If you're going to continue to use the use of IPDs, then we're going to have to make sure the Commerce Committee really work with you on that. Because I think it's a system that has been used to pick winners and losers in our economy, and I think that's unfair.
Mr. Speaker, the oversight starts from here.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And I'm subjected to this.
I agree with you 100%. Questions? Honorable Austin Taylor.
Honorable Speaker, Deputy Speaker, and distinguished colleagues, I want to be thankful to the Commerce Minister for making himself available to this House to explain his agenda for the local sector. I also appreciate my colleague, Honorable Musa Belete, for his communication that he wrote. Honorable Speaker, this matter of local businesses is very much important to this economy. When you look around us today, you find that more than 80% of traders in this country are foreigners. They're either Lebanese or Indians or whoever. And Liberians do not have the capacity to engage in trading activities. We have a local economy that does not support these businesses. We have national activities going on. We have procurement activities that don't provide a leverage for local businesses. For example, like what the Honorable Ability just mentioned, how can government agencies procure vehicles and don't have any provision to enable Liberians to get involved in this? Every economy around the world runs on, every serious and growing economy is run by a successful local economy, a successful business class.
Is there a question in there?
Yes, I'm getting to the question, Mr. Speaker. My question Mr. Speaker, I want to make some comments on some serious comments as well.
No, but the problem is if everybody's going to make a serious comment, we'll be here till tomorrow morning.
It's true, Mr. Speaker, but this is a serious matter that I'll proceed.
You have one more minute, please.
Okay, Mr. Speaker, to the Commerce Minister, I want to know whether you do the due diligence to know whether these rice importers are really sincere about the increment of the price of rice, because as I know, myself have tried to import rice, and even up to today, I know the price, the CFI price of rice from India, and it's still low. So I wonder why the importers still try to increase the prices of rice in their given years. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So, at rice, it took a time for me to begin engaging the rice importers. I'm also an entrepreneur, coming from an entrepreneurial background. So some of the loopholes I understand. Before I engaged the importers, I made sure I solicited invoices and made inquiries globally on the price of rice. I also invited the Indian consular, the Indian embassy, in person of the consular in charge, to discuss the rumor at that time that indeed China had imposed the 20%. Yes, we verified that. They did impose the 20%. In fact, just within the period of that negotiation, they imposed an additional 4%.
Yeah, we're talking about India. Most of our rice is from India.
And that's India.
Yes.
Majority of the... I'm sorry, India. Majority of all the rice, the preferred rice on the market is the IR64 in the region of India. Okay? So we verified some of the constraints, the external constraints that are impacting rice. And indeed, rice price, say here, will go up if nothing is done globally, if some of those exogenous factors are not overcome. We've begun in discussions with the Indian government on giving exemption to Liberia on the 20%. One of the engagement with the rice importers too, to address that.
No, Mr. Minister, can I please come back with my question? Mr. Speaker, I just want to know what is the current CIF price for IR64 sorters, right?
From all indications from the various invoices, they range from between $590 to $630 from what we have been getting. All the importers are now expressing up to $675 landed.
Mr. Minister,
Per ton.
do you recall, can you state the last increase in the price of rice was $100? Just say about $5.
Well, from what I know, it was increased by $5.
Yeah, Mr. Minister, at the time,
$5.
our state leadership and the leadership of the House and Senate were involved with the executive in such discussion, and it was in anticipation of this surcharge that the price was increased. Do not allow the rice importers to mislead you. So I think you need to research that, because it had a precipitous jump, because we were advised that look, in the near future, India is thinking about putting on such 20%. What we wanted to avoid was do a $3 increase, come back later 2 months or 3 months later and do another increase. So they were giving a wide latitude on increase, so please research that.
You're correct, Mr. Speaker, and this is a serious matter, Mr. Speaker. And I can provide invoices to show that rice is $500 per ton.
I'm sure you can.
Yes. So we don't want to hear that thing of rice. The importers spending that 337, 350, maximum $500. Mr. Speaker, thank you very much.
Honorable Thomas.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Co-presiding fellow colleagues. I'm inclined to ask a question relative to the empowerment of small businesses. We keep, pushing this to say our smaller Liberian businesses need to be empowered. But I need to ask the minister, firstly, what is your relationship as it relates to the operation of the LIBA, Liberia Business Association? I know we had a conversation before with the previous Minister of Commerce. There was monies at the LBDI that was, designated to empower small businesses. We also witnessed a whole scenario where this money was being managed by LIBA, and even the head of LIBA contested in the election. There were loans given to small businesses under his campaign messages, only to find out those were money that was attributed to small businesses. So I'm asking you, what is your relationship with LIBA, and to what extent has our small Liberian businesses been empowered under the macro small loan program under the Ministry of Commerce?
Thank you. So again, Honorable, we have begun taking stock of all that was done previously, including all the financing facilities, all the programs that were intended for Liberian enterprises. And I can assure you a comprehensive report will be submitted to you and the executive on this. In terms of building relationship with not only LIBA, with LIBA and other smaller groups, including the LMA, the Chamber of Commerce, and this week, in fact, from tomorrow, we'll start visiting them. We also want to hear from them some of the programs that they have, some of the programs and challenges that they intend to implement. And I assure you we'll get back to you.
Honorable, how about you?
Thank you, Mr. Presiding, the Deputy Speaker, Police. The Presiding, let me say thank you to our guest, Minister of Commerce, for the deliberation. But I have a concern. The budget of the Republic of Liberia, especially the draft budget, is before us. And I guess majority of the empowerment plan that the minister is speaking about should be included in the budget. Mr. Speaker, were we to reference the past administration, at least that administration did giving out to a level that we can consider as a means of empowering the local businesses, but you saw the effort being applied. You were to consider the budget of 2022. This legislature passed a budget and included the amount of $2 million in our budget as a means of empowering Liberian businesses. I listened to the minister talking about capacity building. Yes, in the building capacity of our people, and they do not have the finance to implement the capacity that is being built. Where are we? It means that we will just be going in circles. I have the draft budget here. I listened to the minister speaking about loan, grant, and so forth, and I don't see any of those in the budget. Even the land I just spoke about in terms of non-financial assets. If you were to consider 2022 budget, like I said, we have $2 million there. If you were to consider 2023, we have $1 million there. As we speak, if you were to consider the 2024 draft budget, almost because it was surprising to know that we only have 265,000. How do we just oppose and make minister to the actuality?
Mr. Minister, I think you got it.
Thank you.
Access to capital.
Thank you, Honorable. I'm being more concerned and worried about that. What are you? 200,000 is so insignificant to implement a robust agenda. I cannot at this time speak to what was implemented in 2022 or 2023. Again, we're doing an internal review to understand with facts how the ministry was operating. I'll submit a report to you. The current budget $2.5 million appropriated for the Ministry of Commerce is just going to keep warm bodies at the Ministry of Commerce just to take salaries. And that's not what I signed up for. And I hope that through further engagement, you will consider, the government will consider increasing that to give us program allocations to jumpstart some of these in lieu of the development partner support, which I don't believe is sustainable and will not be targeted to the areas that we want to be targeted.
Honorable Presiding.
Honorable Prince Toll.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Mr. Minister, I want to thank you for your deliberation. And I have a concern about whether you have any plan to open the rest market in our country, giving Liberians the right to import by more than 50%, because it is our country. I also want to ask if you've done an investigation on the issue of steel rod in our country. When we have a factory in Liberia, but the price of steel rod keep climbing every day. So can you investigate or open the market so everybody, business people can import steel rod in our country so that our citizens can benefit from an open market? Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable. In terms of opening the market, it is our agenda to open the market for all commodities, not minerals. We have to do it in a prudent way. As I stated earlier, currently there are 6 importers, and only one is Liberia affiliated. Within the first month of our leadership, we've granted 3 IPU permits to Liberian enterprises. And the aim is to do it in a sustainable, progressive way where we can whether Liberian or foreign, that they can maintain and live up to what they have been granted. In the instance of steel, as I stated earlier, we visited the industrial park, and one of the places we visited was the factory that produces steel, Seti Brothers factory that produces steel. So ascertain what they have and some of those conditions. We sent out a communication to them, I believe 2 days ago, informing them that we will pay a second visit to take samples, collect samples, with their support to send it to Ghana or the UK for testing to verify the quality. And so we are in the process. One of the initial discussions with them, and they have agreed to 3 points, and I stated that earlier. One is to reduce the price of steel rod in the market. They have agreed to do so. And we're engaging them on what that price is, looking at the global price of steel, factoring in the various costs to come to something appropriate.
Mr. Minister, I think that's appropriate. I would fall on the side of favoring the local manufacturers on quality and price rather than opening the market. I think if there's a product that is being produced here, we have to protect it because they give jobs rather than opening the market to give jobs to foreigners. No. I'll start coming on my side. Honorable Nika Gay.
Honorable Presiding, distinguished members of the 55th legislature, to the witness, I under the WTO law, there's a principle called National Treatment Principle that allows competitive equality among the foreign nationals and among the domestic peddlers. But over the years, we have seen inequality and inequality treatment among Liberians in terms of the traders and peddlers in the street. Most of the time, people will hire, money that they throw into the market, and our Liberians who do not have a sufficient amount of money to actually trade, to compete with them, sometimes they throw them out of market. and this is devastating in our economy. It's creating serious problems for our traders as well as Liberians to have the opportunity to compete with the foreigners. So what mechanism are you putting into place to actually curtail some of the problems to allow competitive equality and more Liberians and the foreigners in the market?
Thank you.
There's a tricky part of competition to the WTO laws. If you open the market to competition, for competition, real competition, you must not create incentives or discriminatory incentive for even your Liberian enterprises. But there are ways around it. The WTO creates an environment where if it is tied to your national group, your national security, you can develop and harness certain sectors, and that is what we're trying to do in our agenda. By identifying critical sectors, not all critical sectors that we must empower Nigerians in, and we're working on that. But it falls back to what our elders say, that the issue is access to market, access to finance, capacity building, and those are things that we're already by law empowered to do, but by resources, handicapped to implement. But again, we have programs in place that we're pushing, including those with the development partners, and a couple of low-hanging fruits that we can do in terms of creating an open field and leverage for Liberians. That's why we're registering the small and medium enterprises or the informal sector free of charge, positioning them for financing, and we are allocating financing and programs to train them to become competitive.
Honorable, I guess no, I'm not coming back on this side. I only have 2 minutes. Honorable James Colette. I'm on this line. Mr. Benita, I'll come back to you.
Honorable Speaker, Honorable Deputy Distinguished Colleague, to the Minister, we say, Honorable, thank you for raising this concern. My attention is drawn to the issue raised in connection to Prince 2. Not only the price that I'm concerned about the quality of the product. Mr. Minister, you bear with me, and every member on this floor can serve as a witness. And even in this chamber we are currently seated is being affected by what I'm about to say to you. The cement industry as well. If you there is no building, as things to be corrected, are constructed in Liberia currently that will not be experiencing a crack on it due to substandard materials. If you were to just walk out and see this building that is currently housing us, you see at the top left corner, the whole thing is cracked. And some days when I come to the session, whenever I see that, I can worry, I say, God, into your hands I commit my soul. Because I love myself. Hello? Okay, God, into your hands I commit the speaker and our soul. Mr. Speaker, I'm not protected.
The gentleman from one country has the floor.
So, Mr. Minister, I will bear with you, please, in ensuring that, like you said, you did not come to the ministry to only pay salary. You came to work, and the Liberian people can see the kind of work. Why they are giving substandard or low quality materials to our people. You can complete the construction maybe in 7-8 months, and right after plastering, distinguished colleagues, you start to see the breaking all along the walls. I think it's not fair to our people. And the interesting thing is this.
Is there a question
there? The price, comment, Mr. Speaker. The prices, thank you, sir. The prices are not reducing, but rather they are increasing. I think that whenever
We'll hold the minister for 15 more minutes because we are diverting out of the reason why he came. And so please Please limit your comments to 30 seconds.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Minister, I'm actually concerned about the red industry. Because one of the colleagues spoke about the territorial law, which of course the rest industry are considered similar concern. So now you are talking about introducing the free market enterprise as it relates to the rest. We already have the opportunity to subsidize why you are bringing the economic market of rest. We have the ability, or although we have the ability to subsidize, because we see subsidy that also empower to control the rest on the market. But now, from your deliberation, we are talking about free market enterprise, which means the market will be free for everybody to import and make sales of rest. So we need that clarity because we are looking at price and the affordability for the economy. Thank you so much.
No, Konya, I think his testimony was that one of the commodities you have to manage, and they are trying to manage it, especially in light of the 20%. Honorable Collins.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, because that is my concern.
Yeah, he said they are trying to manage it.
Observation, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Collins, Honorable Famule, observation denied. You will move on this side.
Honorable Speaker, Honorable Deputy Speaker, distinguished colleagues. You know, we've listened to all the nice presentation. Appearance and good presentation. I have two concerns. One, I am looking at the monetary aspect. They will have all the meetings, they will have all the discussion, and at the end, everything is shown in the carpet. What are you putting in place to monitor with timeline? But what you're telling us, in fact, that at least when the time is approaching, we can call you and find out the world each person has drug on the market. That's one. Two, you mentioned here that you now go to the Ministry of Commerce to make salary. $2 million is a drop in the ocean. Granted. What are you going to do if the executive whom appointed you is not doing what it's supposed to do to buttress the effort of the Ministry of Commerce? What are you going to do? Are you going to resign or are you going to remain taking salary and be telling us, no, I'm there for that? Thank you very much.
The relevant question I think is, do you have enough monitors in the field? And what's your timeline? What's going to be price reduction? And two, will you resign if you don't know what you say?
That's what the minister said. The minister said he's not there to pay me for salary.
Honorable Cole, please approach the chair. Okay, are we going to listen to him or are we tired with the minister? Proceed.
Honorable, we are really working hard in assessing what we have, our limitations and the gaps that implement. One of the key areas is to ensure that we have the manpower to implement our mandate, and that includes the inspectorate. So we are trying to capacitate the inspectorate to train them to be more effective. In terms of monitoring and evaluation, we're developing a team, a monitoring evaluation team at the ministry to ensure that even our performances within the ministry from department to department are monitored and evaluated. So we're working on that. With regards to my role at the Ministry of Commerce, the first thing, if I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do, you have the right. Absolutely.
Observation denied, order denied.
Honorable Speaker.
I will allow the minister to finish his answer. Go ahead, Mr. Minister.
If I'm not positioned and empowered, both from the executive and from you, to be able to do my job, you will not need to even ask me to lead the whole.
Honorable Young, Honorable Foye Famule.
Your name just came up, you know that?
Mr. Speaker,
Let me finish with him. 30 seconds.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Deputy Speaker, distinguished colleagues. Thank you again, Mr. Minister, for explaining your plans at the ministry. I have a concern. And that concern has to do with a ban that was placed on a specific sector, the rubber sector. That ban has to do with unprocessed rubber, and there are thousands of people who find themselves in that sector. This is a Ministerial Agriculture question. No, he's the Minister of Commerce. He's the Minister of Commerce and Trade. That ban undermines the objective of small business holder and free market. My question to you, what policy, what advice have you given the executive in terms of the policy you try to explain to us in the open market concept, and how you're going to achieve more growth in the Liberian sector? 1. 2, you have said you are in the process of internal review. What is the timeline set up for some of the internal review? How can we receive any given feedback from your office as leaders of this country to understand as to where this country is heading? Thank you.
Thank you. I will start with the last question. The internal review process has started. The internal review process has started, and we were confronted with many challenges from the onset, including the fact that for more than a month, I was the only minister in office. So even my deputies and assistants are not taking office, so I was left in a vacuum. Now we have a full house in terms of the leadership. We are working on that, and we'll give you a timeline. But it's those changes should be continuous. It's not a one-time effort or one-time initiative. To really change this economy and create the environment we want, it has to be sustained and structured, and we're working on that. I believe within the next, within less than 2 months, because we give ourselves 3 months to do a new agenda for the Ministry of Commerce and our work plan. In terms of the first question, yes, the rubber. I'll tell you my personal opinion first. My personal opinion is that we should create every opportunity for Liberian smallholders, whether along the rubber value chain or the cocoa value chain, to be able to thrive. But there are several factors that we are looking at, and that includes pricing, accessibility. One of the things that this discussion, this executive order has brought to the table is what we should term as value addition for the rubber sector. I believe initially, the couplings that are in question, or the next stage that most of the large corporations are processing, is not value addition. So that brings to bear the greater discussion on what is termed as value addition. The president has set up a committee, and that committee is working to look at it and give him a holistic recommendation, and set of recommendations. One of the initial recommendations we've made to the president is the fact that few of the containers that are stuck at the port should be given a reprieve. And they are looking at the legal process to support those Liberian businesses that are caught unaware in the process. Because when that executive order was given, it was given precipitously, and many farmers have already aggregated the rubber at the port, in containers, and at different farm gates. So the president is very keen on it and is considering it.
Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker. Sibo.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and let me thank the Minister for doing his best to answer as many questions as have been asked. There are three things I want to just bring to your attention, Minister. Of course, when I served as Commissioner of Customs, you were consulting on our extensive with WTO.
The gentleman has 30 seconds.
Unless I mean, in that process, we were doing everything as a country to transition to WTO. I'd just like to know from your perspective now, the Minister, and concerning the documentations you received in terms of turnover notes, where are we on WTO transition, and what will we need for small businesses?
I I received no turnover notes.
When I'm done, hang on. Number two, I'm concerned about our standard lab. The standard lab now should be a bureau by itself. As is, I'm concerned with where the standard lab is in terms of funding, because most of the things that affect our country is having consumables that are not standard. So I would love to know from your perspective whether you are still the head of the standard lab in terms of housing the standard lab, or whether the standard lab is fully functional as a bureau, and what is the funding capacity of the lab. Lastly, Minister, you are a businessman. I don't know what should term you as a small businessman or a large businessman. The last time I checked, when you did your filings to me, when I said as large tax here, you were filing through the large tax. But I just want to know from your perspective in terms of conflict of interest, when we're fighting for businesses, and you yourself as a businessman, where do you stand when it comes to that real benefit?
Thank you. Thank you,
No, it's not an issue of getting tired. It was 1 year on an issue of like green businesses. We have expanded the conversation, and we can just go continuously. We have another minister up, and we have a full agenda to go. Go ahead, honorable minister.
Thank you. WTO accession. In taking stock of all our engagements with WTO, we have discovered that as a body, we already lag behind in our initiatives, including the fact that we have not lived up to our financial obligations to several of our international partners, and we are trying to regularize them. We have begun engaging them. In fact, the WTO set through the EI program few that visited recently, where they expressed many of the concerns, and we're already on track to address them. The standard lab is a critical part of our ability to import, export, and to create to foment a healthy and safe environment. And it is a priority. The first week after taking office, I visited the standard lab. There has been some funding to support it, to develop it from the development partners, and work is going on right now. But we've already identified several areas that we need to expand the service of the standard lab, and that includes ensuring that we're able to test food products entering the country. Last week, the Ministry of Commerce turned back a truck coming from Sierra Leone with supported chicken, frozen chicken or chicken parts in an open truck with no freezing capacity. So, and that's prevalent, okay? But then we need a capacity that will expect it to be able to be more robust. So we're working on the standard lab. It is progressing to become an autonomous, not autonomous, an authority. And even that authority, the Ministry of Commerce will have some supervision. We have open discussions with regional standard bodies to make sure that on critical areas, beginning with baby steps, that are important, for example, testing of those food products, frozen food, that they can support us immediately to reach us to that point, and they have agreed to do so.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Deputy Speaker, distinguished colleagues. Let me.
Honorable Fumodia, give a second. I think there was one question left.
Yes. In terms of conflict of interest, immediately upon confirmation, I did a statement transferring no longer have any deal with those enterprises.
I'm going to discharge the witness. But your colleagues are going to give you a chance to answer your question. So the thing is to discharge the witness. Go ahead,
Honorable Speaker, distinguished colleagues. Let me applaud my colleague Musa Belete for the communication that brought the minister here, and then also extend my thanks and appreciation to the minister for addressing some of those concerns. Honorable Minister, I have two or three questions for you. You
have 30 seconds.
Yes. In your deliberation, you said you're working with Saki Brother and others who are in the production of steel and other materials to give you sample so that they can be tested in UK or Ghana. Well, why are you not the one taking the sample and you're relying on them to give you sample? When probably they may give you sample that will meet the international standard, and what they are producing here is different. Still, are you collecting random samples from what they are producing? Number two, you talked about other programmatic issues in terms of building capacity. And the analysis of the budget that someone mentioned, you got like around 200,000. 200,000 I would have had. So, how those programs can be implemented. Because you need to work.
Then the third question.
Then the third question is, you also talk about some donor partners having earmarked millions of dollars to help in the sector. But this is not strange. In the past, donor partners have brought in money and they are not having the desired effect. What mechanism are you putting in place so that those who will benefit from this funding are actual Liberians who are actually small businesses and are actually in the field working, so that it doesn't go in the revenue? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Just one correction. I didn't say I'm working with Sati Brothers. We're engaging Sati Brothers. We're engaging Sati Brothers in all importers, not only the producers, but importers of steel. The communication that went out from the Ministry of Commerce went out to both those who produce and those who are importing to make sure that their products meet the standards. Okay? There are some tests that we can do locally, which is just basic measurements and what have you. But we also have to go in depth looking at the content of the iron that they are producing, whether it's conducive for different aspects of our need, and we're working on that.
I agree, but they are going to provide the sample.
No, we are collecting.
Because that's what I heard.
No,
okay.
We are collecting the sample. We're doing random checks and random sampling. So we'll appear there at any given time and take samples from different batches to test. Okay. In terms of the budget, we understand the constraints. We have gone back to the table to look at what's the minimum we need to be able to jumpstart most of these critical initiatives in lieu of whatsoever that's coming from donor. We need an additional minimum $2 million at minimum. In respect to ensuring that donor funding are appropriated, support appropriated to the right causes or targets, even these donor funding I spoke about, the 40 million, for example, I have not signed up on any of them until we do a thorough assessment to make sure they're in line with our national agenda, where we want to go, and that they are dedicated solely to targets that we believe can stimulate the economy. And for example, in going into I have even gone into the contracts that were being allocated to make sure that Liberians directly benefit from those contracts, not only foreign consultants.
We have gone 20 minutes over the time allotted.
So we're looking into that. We're establishing and we're taking control of this. I've spoken to the donors, the World Bank, and if this is a Ministry of Commerce project, we must be in charge of it from conceptualization to implementation. And I think they have gotten the message. We have meetings yesterday with the World Bank. We have meetings with the Secretary of Bank, sure that all of these programs are implemented appropriately.
Thank you. would allow another 10 minutes. I will ask that if the question has already been asked, please don't ask.
Honorable Speaker, Honorable Deputy Speaker, distinguished colleagues. Mr. Minister, why not open the market to Nigerians that are capable of importing rice, cereals, and other goods so that the prices will be able to drop down? Because from the time cities start producing cereal, we find out that the prices is high up and they are now really up to the standard. Then we want to know whether you have already made your assets declaration and you are a businessman, whether you will not link on the side of those that are already into this business, because we want for the Nigerians to be recognized actually into this business, and that will help to drop down the cost.
Thank you. In terms of opening the market, I said that earlier, that we want to foster an open market economy, but we have control market. Economics is called a mixed market economy, where it's open, but we control it to an extent that it doesn't affect or impact our agenda and our people. With the rice sector, it is, to a large extent, I'm opening up to Nigerians. As many Nigerians that will come up with the credibility and capacity, I'll prefer giving them, and I will afford them the opportunity to bring in rice. So, as I said already, we granted 3 IPs to the additional ones for 2 Nigerians that have come up and demonstrated some level of capacity, and will do so. Gradually, that appropriation will increase as more Nigerians come up and demonstrate the capacity to import those things. We don't want a situation where we go one route because of the liberalization process and create other crises. So we are working to create a stable environment.
That's happened before. Asset declaration.
Yes, asset declaration. I assure you, I have already done completed my asset.
Resign from the party.
Resign? Who carried your resign?
And earlier next week, it will be published.
Honorable, total about 30 seconds.
You feel crossing already.
You will take it off floor.
Honorable Colette.
Yes, people, 17-year-old get injured.
Honorable Colette, Honorable Flomo. Please be respectful to your colleague. Honorable Colette has the vote.
Mr. Wilson.
Honorable Thomas, you are out of order. Honorable Thomas, you are out of order. Honorable Colette will proceed.
Mr. Wilson, you said there are 6 people. Can you please tell the Liberian people? Can you please tell the Liberian people who are those 6 people?
No, but Honorable Colette, your question though, get it mind up. 6 people. I will discharge the witness. I will discharge this witness. Yeah, anybody can everybody with the information.
So you have K&K, you have A to Z, you have SWAT, you have FUTA, you have UCI, and
Honorable Muga Kamara, Honorable Muga Kamara, 30 seconds.
In my mind, I've been trusted, and I think we should start. Thank you. So one will call for in my mind, I've been trusted. Thank you so much.
Order sustained.
Thank you.
However, we allow the 5 votes. Honorable Bushwa.
Man, you the lead.
30 seconds. Please share. Honorable Clarence Capri, approach the chair.
I just have a question for you. How do you want to know about the sleep of spread of food? With all of the questions in the in order for me to perform my oversight, I will be coming back to you. Is there a quality control lab at the Ministerial Commerce?
there's a standard lab associated with the Ministry of Commerce. Okay? It is there to test quality of goods, coming in the agreement. It needs to be developed. It does preliminary testing, and we're in the process of enhancing its capacity.
Honorable Sumo.
Hello, I'm Minister. Like in other countries, we have what we call the time review collector, substandard work. My issue is the issue of the fire incident. There are so many fire incidents.
When the Minister of Commerce?
Yeah, what can be done to mitigate the substandard work? What can be done to mitigate the substandard work in the appliance and electrical appliances into our system?
Thank you. It's good you brought this up, Honorable. It's good you brought this up.
Please give me valuable information. If we don't think it's that valuable, you can go through this place of work.
It's good you brought it up. Out of concern of the quality of wires and the fires that have been erupting, the President called me at one point in time, 4 a.m. in the morning, to express his concern. And we started a rigorous investigation, and we were able to catch and identify a so-called factory along the Marshall Highway, Rutherford Highway, that was producing electric wire, very substandard. Not only electric wire, they were producing light bulbs. So we shut the company. We shut the company down. We collected samples, and we're in the process now of testing these samples. But clearly, they were substandard. And what they were doing, they were imitating accredited brands. So, for example, if you have a wire that says Marconi, the labels will say Marcani, and look almost the same. But we have shut that company down, and we're checking for other sources. We've also started the process of testing, taking samples from importers, major distributors like City Brothers, Setting Brothers, all those imported wire. We're collecting samples for testing.
I will not ask that question again, but just
Honorable Foucault. Honorable Foucault, Honorable Poto, Honorable Mary, and Honorable Benedict Close. After those names, nobody else. Honorable Taylor, now one run.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Basically, thank you, Honorable Minister. Basically, as I started to listen to your different plans, I don't want to really go deeper into too many questions because I feel you understand that in subsequent time, many of those things that you just listed, in subsequent time, we'll call you back to know exactly on your delivery. But a few of my questions I have to ask has to do with policy. What is your plans in establishing?
30 seconds.
What is your thank you, Chief? What is your plan in establishing a domestic economic empowerment program? That is the deal that you have within your plan. Center on developing the productive capacity of Nigeria's private sectors to lead the economy developing agenda. That is question A, and question B will be, and what is your plan in building a responsive and mutually profitable relationship with the private sectors, including re-establishing platform for improved public-private collaboration?
Thank you. So, a lot of the initial initiatives we have program. For example, formalizing, migrating the informal sector to the formal sector, giving them business identity, setting up bank accounts for them and training. That's part of the empowerment process. Identifying market access for them, which we have already started doing, and finding funding facility for the programs. We started doing that. In 2 weeks, we will be launching a concierge desk at the airport to be able to serve as the first gateway for visitors, Liberian and foreign, to understand what we offer in Liberia. We are also starting as I mentioned before, targeting Liberian enterprises and the industrial park to provide facilities for them. We'll be launching a Liberian Made in Liberia Center at the Ministerial of Commerce. We have already appropriated resource funding for it, where we can showcase Liberian products. And that will be the first step into identifying those who do not qualify and capacitating them to be able to display them. So there are several initiatives that we are already implementing. In terms of, what was the last question, sir? So, in terms of...
Thank you. So, in relation to your first response, I truly appreciate that. So, my second question was, what is your plan in building a responsive and mutually profitable relationship with the private sector, including re-establishing platform for improved public-private collaboration?
So earlier I stated we already started meeting major organizations and associations, private sector related, from Nigeria Business Association and the LIBA, Chamber of Commerce, LMA. We have scheduled meetings with them. We have started to visit different centers like the industrial park, the marketplaces where Nigerians operate. We're also started and we are also planning, and the first one will be in April, a networking event where we bring smallholders with major concessionaires to create linkages. We're implementing a SME conference in September that will bring all SMEs together and showcase their products. We're doing a trade fair here. Next month, we're visiting the U.S. and to do a roadshow with Liberians in the diaspora. So we have a diverse agenda targeting Liberians, both here and abroad.
Information.
Yes.
Information to that. Please, just 5 seconds, please.
Sure.
Hey, West Point.
We need your food.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. So, to the Minister, so I would like to recommend to you to this part. The reason I'm so concerned today about having these exchanges with you is because the sector you manage has to do with the day-to-day activity of the Liberian people. So once it becomes your business, that is everybody's business. So what I would like to recommend to you, the chairman on commerce, most especially the committee on commerce, I would like you to communicate with him most frequently with all of these different activities as to how you go about, and he can come to the legislature to update us so that we can know exactly how we respond to our people instead of waiting for the emergency in the country before calling you to question and to answer to us. And next time I appeal, when you are coming here, all of those plans that you have in keeping with your agenda, and we advise that you share with the committee chair on commerce so that he can give us with different information.
Honorable, 5 seconds. We're trying to be patient with the flow, but you know, Honorable Poto.
I'm going to be very short. Honorable Speaker, Deputy Speaker, Police, Minister, Look, I heard you explain all of these nice things here. Beautiful on the record. But while we're here, when you mentioned the issue about rest price will be going up, constituency members started to call. I just wanted you to tell us. Since you mentioned the rubber issue, I mean, because
No, but this is not a fishing expedition. You know, you asked about rest price, he said you mentioned the issue. What he said was there were talks and negotiation on the price, issue the price of rice. He was not definitive as to whether or not. So what's the next issue?
No, the issue has come to it. My point now is the issuance of the act, the people coming to
He already addressed that earlier.
what I didn't understand was that what I didn't understand, what him to take note of is whether the minister can
Honorable Colette, I would advise you, sir. Honorable Colette, I would advise you, sir, when you were given the opportunity to speak, you were not disturbed. Please stop distracting your colleague. Honorable Puto, go ahead.
The list of current importers of rice, how much they are paying on the world market is one. Additionally, is it possible to publish to the Liberian people as to what qualifies you to getting IPD so that we can participate? Thanks.
Honorable Barry.
Mr. Minister, thank you so much for coming to our report. My question has to do with importation and retailers. I'm sure you are aware because you've been in the business sector, and like myself, we all think that's our background. We have people importing goods in the country, for example, tomatoes. They are importing and they are also retailing. We are talking about protecting the Liberian businesses for the Liberian people. But the common market will not be able to sell tomato and make any profit because the people that are importing are also retailing the tomato. So what are you doing to ensure that these people are protected?
Thank you. That's a very important issue that we are already assessing. You know, even where we establish prices, like for example, the price of rice, by the time it gets to the end user, the prices increase. We have also noticed that some of the importers are major importers, but they also have subsidiaries that cost short the opportunity for Liberians. They are importers, they are own supermarkets, they own retail stores. So as I said, that even with the big guys that we're talking to, we have requested that they establish, we discuss their business models and establish a horizontal structure under them to ensure that they are not importers, wholesalers, and retailers. And we are confident that will address some of the price concerns and distribution concerns.
Thank you, Speaker, fellow colleagues. Our Minister, I have a few comments to make. I don't believe that the reason the letter was ready, you have answered the question. I think you are giving us...
The honorability is not the minister's fault, it is your colleagues. All the questions they ask, you answer. They just did not ask the genuine question.
Honorable Speaker, I'm not faulting the minister, I'm just pointing out what he has. And even though you did not answer the question, but you gave us the opportunity to have an insight into the vision for the community. But I hope that you will be able to deal with this question as you leave it there. Budget is under consideration, and procurement and the protection of Liberians must happen in accordance to the law. The other thing that I wanted to mention is the IPD. Mr. Minister, you are not this businessman. Please, I'm begging you, don't let the army be your legacy. It is a restriction that we don't need in this country. If you have a other strategy, and I know you'll be a very smart man, where you can make sure that we don't have right structure, please. No restriction. America, everywhere in the world, you have the minister or his deputy approving everything that it is a cartel that is in our country that is controlling the import and they are doing it through the activity. They try not for that to be a legacy. The last one is the rights issue. You are running into a situation of blackmail by the rights importers. Most of what they are saying to you are not true. Most of what they are saying to you are not true.
Honorable Budgetary, please give me 2. No, but the issue is, honorables, again, what precipitates these kind of interchanges is somebody is trying to listen to somebody and other people are disturbing. Yeah, but honorable, you can just move over to the person. Alright, please. Let's taper down and proceed, honorable Budgetary.
I know your fear, and it is that fear that the right people are playing on. If you free that market, we'll not have the issue we're having.
Yeah, definitely.
For them to tell you that India or China increase the price, and then you should give them quota. They are fighting you for quota, and by the time you give one Liberian a chance, the next thing they do is to slow down their importation. I know the strategy. That's what they're doing. Do not allow them to do that. If they happen, come back to us, and that we should be able to raise money to protect our country and create strategic reserve. Open the Liberian market. The result will be resounding, and let that be your legacy. Don't succumb to blackmail. You are walking today, and you are my friend, and you are a good guy. I want you